Hello again, welcome to Pony Panels. Now, to clear up the main series and catch it all the way up to where we need to be, there's one more thing to cover. Yes, there is a micro series. Yes, I know the Friends Forever comics are out there, and we'll cover those in a kind of spin off series known as Panels Forever. We'll get to that starting next week. But to get pony panels caught up, we have to talk about a spin-off within the mains. Fiendship is magic. Yes, dropping one letter means everything. Gone Are the Friends, in its place, is a series of 5 comics, in which I'll talk about here, each highlighting the major 5 villains throughout the history of the show and the comics. Chrysalis, Tyrek, Luna's Nightmare Moon, the Sirens, the Dazzlings from Equestria Girls Rainbow Rocks, and King Samra, which King Samra gets the first book. And boy howdy is it a first book. I'll go on record saying this. Book number 1 of this 5 comic miniseries is the most emotional, heart-wrenching, dark, depressing, bittersweet, yet elegantly written piece of My Little Pony material official that I have read or watched to date. The comic pretty much tells Samra's backstory, which is severely needed. But just to give you the Cliff Notes version, friendship gained, friendship turns to love, love lost, tragic end. All of it makes you rethink Samra as a character. Makes you rethink your knowledge of the Crystal Empire due to character introductions like Princess Amore and Radiant Hope. Could those possibly be Amore, possibly be Cadence's unspoken for mother? But the tragedy is deep in the first book, and it sets a precedent for the other 4, which unfortunately none of them quite reach the heights of the first book. Book 2 focuses on Tyrek pretty much, and explains about the Centaurus Kingdom and their kind of loose relationship with the Equestrians, and Tyrek's thirst for just pure on power, even killing his apprentice master Darth Sidious style. But there is a quote from the second book that sticks of note. There are 2 things that cause people to do inhumane things: love and hate, which is a love and power, which is a nice connection back to the first book. So that's why it holds up. Book 3 on the Sirens, on the other hand, does not hold up nearly as well, and once again proves why Starsword the Bearded is on the 13 worst ponies list that I released to the public just recently. showing how the Sirens created pop music, how Star Swirl the Bearded was unable to thwart their every attempt at was unable to thwart their every attempt at Canterlot takeover, and ultimately led to the result that set up Rainbow Rocks. Yes, the Sirens aren't perfect character here, and yes, the Nada is still a ditz, and the animation for each comic drawing is excellent, but it's not a worthwhile plot, especially due to Star Swirl's bad musings all throughout the comic. It's just a laugh riot. Not because it's not generally funny, it's because why do we respect Star Swirl the Bearded again? Nothing really. And then book 4 gets intriguing with learning what Luna was actually doing up there on the moon all these years. Pushing pushing around these gremlin-like creatures, most notably a character by the name of Duran, into creating nightmares. Yes, this comic has a piece of information on Luna's power. How she's able to make both good and bad dreams. Most notably, the entire comic is her attempts to give her sister a dream headache. But leave it to old Trollestia to get the best of her sister. But unfortunately, that means nightmares for the rest of us. Sadly. But it also shows that even being evil, Luna can't stop making friends. Which kind of gives you the idea of the weakness of the character. Book 5 and the final focuses on Chrysalis telling stories of musings, and this is generally funny. From the fall of Troy using the Trojan horse to a Pompeii reference to the fall of one of the great Pegasi kingdoms like Caesar and Rome. Chrysalis details her many conquerments before falling at the hands of Cadence and Shining Armor. Also, it's the only comic that is featuring the main group, which unfortunately Chrysalis does use Twilight's love of passing on reading to escape her highly secured jail cell and make an escape. Plus, there's also a lot of echoes to villains returning, which are now being currently cashed in the current storyline that we'll get to down the road, known as Shadows. But the 5 comic miniseries is an interesting combination of great drawing, expert writing, and giving backstory on some of the meanest that Equestria has ever seen. But it's Sombra's book that stands out, and I would give this 6 out of 6 must read. As for the Tyrek book, it gets a 2. The Sirens book gets a 1. The Luna book gets a 3. And the Chrysalis book gets a 4 out of 6. Overall, that brings the Fiendship is Magic 5-part side series all the way to a 3 out of 6. There are a couple of comics worth reading here, and if you're vastly worried about the villains of Friendship is Magic, and you want their actual backstory, stories, or a little bit of their personality, these 5 books are a great way to understand their personalities, going into each of their individual appearances in the TV show. Other than that, there's only one real standout book. The series just doesn't hold up after a comic like Samra's book that comes out just so emotionally strong. You could say it was the canon, quote unquote, version of Snowdrop. It's that emotional of an individual read. And that's what I would recommend to you. But when we return, we'll start the Friends Forever series. When we start Panels Forever. Until then, I'm Nirvana Sparkle. I'm a good guy. Find peace in your own nirvana. And thanks for watching.